From the Burbank Historical Society and the Gordon Howard Museum, it's My Burbank Talks. Today is July 15th, 2023, and we're on location to bring you the 50th anniversary celebration of this great venue. Now, let's join the My Burbank crew and get the party started.
Hello, everybody. Craig Sherwood here, along with Craig Durling, who's our engineer today and one of our hosts. And we have Austin Gebhardt here, who's also one of our TDs, our technical directors. And of course, what would a day be without our famous Ross Benson?
I think I just got woken up. Wow.
Good morning.
Oh yeah, is it good morning or good?
Yep. So we're here at the Burbank Historical Society for their 50th anniversary celebration, and we're going to get some guests today and talk about some of the great exhibits and everything else. Ross, you have any impressions today of the what you've seen so far?
Well, you drive down Olive at 50, 60 miles an hour, and you see this old house and an airplane going up in the sky. You don't realize that's just an eighth of what the Historical Society and the museum has. That is an F-104 Starfighter that was built here.
Lockheed.
And that house, is just part of Burbank. Inside the museum, some people say, I'm probably going to get slapped for saying this, this is Burbank's best kept secret. The Moreland bus that was built here in Burbank is stored here. They have fire equipment. They have, I would say, couple hundred displays.
Well, there's all kinds of little trinkets stuff, all kinds of little things, from the city from over the years that, before they've destroyed them, they've actually saved little, aspects of it. If you've lived in Burbank for, 20, 30, 40 years, you'll see some great memories in here of things that you had forgotten all about, and you put a smile on your face.
Well, shame on me. I've lived in Burbank for almost 30 years off and on now. This is only my second time here. And earlier, when we were walking around earlier, I just found myself saying this place is a hidden gem. You'd never know. You see the old house on the street on Olive, but you'd never know that this facility was right behind it. And it goes on and on forever and ever. There's a whole garage to my left of antique vehicles, vintage vehicles. But there's Disney history here. There's NBC history here. There's Burbank history here. And there's a lot of
And when
it.
you say history, there's an original seat from the Johnny Carson show. They've really restored or kept the history of Burbank. And it's amazing, like you say, this is a two-story building, and from Olive, you can't tell.
You would never know. On and on. Olive. And I wandered upstairs, and there's a whole meeting hall up there with a pipe organ and stuff. I didn't know that was there until I went upstairs. But it's a great event, and just for context, I'll read from the flyer they're handing out today. It says, "Saddle up, put on your boots and spurs, don your hat, and mosey on down for Member Appreciation Day and the Community Hoedown." So it's not only the 50th anniversary celebration of the Historical Society, but it's the annual Member Appreciation Barbecue.
It's a hoedown also.
It is a hoedown, not a hoedown. We know who's here.
It's a hoedown? Howdown. Okay. How now, brown cow? Oh, Austin, your first time here, isn't it?
It is. This is my first time here, and it's a definitely, like Ross said, it's a well kept secret. I didn't know how big this place was and how much cool Burbank facts they have around here.
Well, what's really neat is the little rooms. When you walk around, you make a right turn, and there's a whole nother wing.
Exactly. Yeah, I kept walking, and I got lost.
Well, they have vignettes set up, so there's to my right. There's 4 different rooms off of this lobby area, and each one is a separate vignette of a house or a room from a house maybe 50, 60, 100 years ago, completely renovated, set up to the period.
So if you're not making it today, but you will gain a lot of information from our podcast. As Craig said, we're going to have some of the original founders, or not the original founder, they've passed away, but we're going to have some people that have been here for many, many years. We're also going to talk about Burbank's history.
Yes. And we want to thank the Historical Society for inviting us today to be here. We really appreciate it. And you know what? For $20 a year, you can become a member here, and that money goes to supporting all these great things here. So it's something you should look into. It's a good way to support our city also.
Absolutely. And there's also entertainment here today, worth noting, throughout the day.
What
And
are you playing your banjo?
I am not playing my banjo because
How
there's
about your
already
bongos?
a band playing today, and it's
The bongos?
the Valley Boys Band. We
Ooh.
don't talk about my bongos. But also a little later on inside in the garage area here with the vehicles is Bob Baker's Marionettes performing. So from 1 to 4 today, it might be too late by the time you're seeing it, but this is a great event, but a great reason to come out today. But
You just said 1 to 4. Did you know that you can come here any Saturday and Sunday and tour the museum and the whole facility from 1 to 4 Saturday and Sunday not just today, but every weekend. They have Dachshunds that will lead you around that know
Docents. I thought you said dachshunds. The little dog, little
the
sausage
dogs.
dogs.
Well,
You have to walk slow. They have little legs.
I don't know if dogs are allowed in here, but they will give you a tour and they know the history of this stuff. I can't wait to our first guest.
Yep. Well, we'll have our first guest here in just 1 second, so stand by. Well, we've kind of shifted ourselves around a little bit here, and we have our first guest. Ross, why don't you introduce him?
Well, right off the top of the show, why don't we get the person that did a lot of planning on this? I'd like to introduce Don Baldaseroni. And Don and I are long time friends. Don and his wife, Sue, kind of make this whole place operate quite a bit. Sue has been, involved. She sends out the mailers and she does a lot of things. And today we are starting off with Don, and it's a big event today for you, buddy.
It really is. It's just not a kickoff anymore because we did our tea. However, it's a perfect membership appreciation day. So to come, you have to be a member, but I tell you what, you're not going to ever forget it if you come today.
Well, and as we have said
Yeah.
in our intro, that people can come today and pay that $20 to enjoy, and then you can be a member
For a year.
And you also have some different rates. But Don, you have, as we again I reference in our intro, this place. Don't tell Mary Jane, and you and I know it's Burbank's best kept secret.
Without a question. And that's what we're trying to change this year, especially. But, because of you guys, and I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything, but without the media and the job you guys are doing, where's the local newspaper anymore? They just aren't there. And so you're doing a great service to the citizens of Burbank by letting them know, not only here, but all the different events you go to.
Well, we thank you for the accolades.
Well, speaking of, you also the Road Kings also is a big part of your life.
Yes.
You're a big part of a lot of volunteer stuff, and with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
You do a lot of volunteering of your time here to make Burbank a better city for everybody.
Well,
we
let's
try.
reel back, Don. Let's go into reverse here. I remember 4 on the floor or probably 3 on the column. But let's give a little history from Don Baldaseroni. People, we're at the Historical Society, but talk about history. Don, you owned a couple of gas stations in this town.
I sure did.
And people now that might be listening to our podcast have no clue. Our city has changed quite a bit. Talk about your your gas station up on Olive, a couple of them.
Sure. Well, the first
What
gas
was the
station-
gas? How much was gas then?
Actually, I saw a picture in, what was it, 81? It was 87 cents a gallon.
Oh my gosh.
Outrageous.
And I go even further back because I was at First and Olive, where Logic Bank building is there, and a big gas station there. And across the street was Community Chevrolet. And then also had the other station on Glen Oaks and Olive. That one's still there, but no, it was a good ride. I really enjoyed it. And I still, to this day, miss my customers. When you're in that type of business.
Well, you're a people person.
They can find you here.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
They can find you here.
You're displaying
Yeah.
here, aren't you?
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny us going into this world of electric cars. I know. Talk about your cars that you have. You own a couple of classics.
Yeah. Right now, I have a 55 Chevy, which I've had since 1986, and it's completely restored. Has flames on it. We take it to all the parades, and we cruise a lot. We go to all the car shows and everything, and it's really super. And then also a 79 Trans Am, which I purchased new at Len Goodwin Pontiac in 1978, and it's Smokey and the Bandit type.
That's right.
So-
With the flames on the hood and
No, dead turkey.
dead.
Dead turkey. Yeah.
Well, that's why people don't realize, nowadays we're 2023 and everybody has a cell phone and whatever. But you look back, you are part of the Heritage Commission.
Yes. I'm chair of the Heritage Commission right now.
A lot of people will say, well, what's a Heritage Commission? It's to keep the history of our city. Some of the buildings that are getting, knocked down or moved and changed, you're trying to keep Burbank, some of it, so we remember. You remember Lockheed pretty well.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yep.
He's heard of it. You got the F-104 fighter out front,
Mm-hmm.
but as we said in the intro, people drive down Olive, they see the little blue house, and they think that's it.
Well, a good friend and a donor here to the museum, and you could be enjoying his food today, Armando Barragan. Okay. I went over to talk to him. We had dinner over there, Sue and I, and he says, "Oh, I know where the museum's at. It's where the jet airplane and little house is." I said, "Did you know about the building behind it?" No. He's been here, 65 years in Burbank? So it is a best kept secret. But I took him through a little bit of it, and he just was dumbfounded, like everybody is.
Yeah. So today, we've talked about we're going to have the marionettes, going to have some other things going on besides great food from Barragan's and also, I believe, Handy Mart out
Definitely
there.
Handy Mart, yes.
Everybody in town drives by Buena Vista and Magnolia and sees the smoke going up. They know Alan over there is cooking away.
Oh, yeah, without a question.
But you're here, I know, a lot of Saturdays.
Mhm.
You're here during the week. People don't know you have a room upstairs that you've had some guest speakers
Oh, yes.
here that,
Yes,
some
yes.
pretty famous people.
Oh, yeah.
I remember a couple years ago, the announcer, Stephanie from the Rose Parade.
Yeah,
One of the
exactly. She
speakers.
was one of them. God, I can't even think of all of them.
Well, you've had astronauts, you've had
Yes.
pilots, and that's what I don't think people don't realize during the weekend when you could stop in to see this.
Yep.
So
Let me ask you this, Don.
Yeah.
Let's say, if you're telling somebody, to come by and see, what is the number one event or attraction or display that you think this is the greatest thing ever, and you need to come see this? What
The
is that?
must see.
What's your favorite one here? That
You'll talk to the 15 or 18 board members we have here, and everybody has their favorite little thing. Now, obviously, I'm into cars, so I like the car collection we have here. I like the Road King, Kong's Garage, and we've had a lot of history from the Road Kings and stuff. But there's other things. We have, you remember the Magnolia Theater?
absolutely.
Okay. Well, over in the corner there, we have the glass and the sconces are from the original Magnolia Theater. And Gary Sutliff, which is
he's
so
going to be one
valuable.
of our next guests.
Yes.
great,
We're
great.
going to have Gary. We're going to put Gary on headset because he's been around. I happen to know Gary when he was a fireman. He retired as a battalion chief.
Well, he has sourced a lot of the things that we
yeah.
see here,
And
right?
Without a question.
For those of you who don't remember the Magnolia Theater, I think it was at Magnolia and about Evergreen.
Correct. I was just
Exactly.
going to say.
And I think Barbara Streisand then bought the building after they stopped being a theater anymore.
Well, your memory is evergreen.
there you go.
Well, that's the thing. People don't realize at one time we had like 5 walk-in theaters here in town.
Yeah.
And then we had no theaters in this town for years and years until they put in the AMC. And I think we started with an AMC 6,
Oh,
3,
Oh,
14. I
geez.
think it was a 14 or 12. I think
and then it
on Palm Avenue,
grew.
and then it went across the street when they took out the Elks Lodge.
Burbank's still the AMC capital of the world?
Yep.
'Cause there's an 8, a 6, and the 16, right?
They
Yes.
say west of the Mississippi,
We are the busiest.
AMC theater chain.
Right
Well,
here.
they make all the movies here. They might as well show them here.
Well, they did anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing. You got some displays from
Mm-hmm.
NBC, from
Oh.
Warner Brothers, from Disney. You talk about the history in the city of Burbank, and doing a podcast, we kind of want to paint the picture. But if you want to see the finishing touches, any Saturday and Sunday, stop on by, and you can take a tour yourself. Bring your kids because they will be dropping their jaw. This was really Burbank. The mannequins you have even look alive.
And a place like this is of interest to anybody. You don't have to be from Burbank
Yeah.
because it's not totally Burbank specific. There's so much created in this city over the years You have a
Right.
chair from Johnny Carson's studio over here,
Right.
and the Disney displays and the cars, so you can appreciate a wide variety of things
Mhm.
and really get the vibe of it here. It doesn't have to be Burbank specific.
Pretty much so. We try to keep it Burbank because we have enough. We're running out of room, you know, and we're looking for myBurbank to sponsor buying the buildings out in front of us so we can expand that way.
I will commit now
Or put a
on
third-
behalf
third
of Craig
story on it.
Sherwood and Ross Benson.
You know,
Well, you think a lot of people remember Yulhauser, and he did California Gold.
Absolutely.
Well, we got diamonds here, folks. We got, I got to say, I don't think Yule ever stopped in here. He did stop down the street at a couple of restaurants, one Talleyrand, which
Mhm.
when you're done here, you can go to Talleyrand, or back in the day, you could go to Barron's. But,
Frank's.
Frank's across the street, you see in every movie,
Yep.
and so forth. But I think people will realize they come here, you used to turn on your TV, and this is a great place to stop by on a Saturday and or Sunday. And
Well, next time you're driving past and see the jet on the
Yep.
side of the road, stop in and walk around.
Stop in without a question. We love everybody to come.
And if people do stop out front, there's a walkway that'll take you back to the museum.
Yeah.
The house, I think, is closed. And if you go on Google and you put in Burbank Historical Society, it's going to give you a Lomita address,
Right.
because technically that's where the front door is. But if you come around the back and there's a parking lot right next to the Art Center, you can come in and the doors are open. And
All right, well, this place goes all the way to the parking lot on Clark Street. So
right.
Well, we tell people 1100 Clark because that's where the parking lot's at. It's easiest. However, now with the new pickleball craze, don't worry, Craig. You and I don't have to worry about
I
pickleball.
don't think so.
we don't have to worry about that.
I'm more in a
You know?
pickle than I am going to play a pickle.
But again, without our major sponsors, obviously, the Cusamanos, the Augustines, Alan from Handy Mart, I can't say enough. People have got to go over there and have their barbecue or come here first. And, Community Chevrolet, they're a major sponsor of today's event and the whole 50th year.
In fact, I just saw Bob Green walk
Bob
by
Green,
and
yes.
said hi to us. I always confuse your name with his name. We're going to he's one of our normal sponsors
Mhm.
To myBurbank.
why they're wearing the shirts with their names on them today.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
Don, again,
Yeah.
thank you for inviting us today.
Mhm.
You and Sue, I want to applaud you.
Yes.
I see you.
Thank you.
I see
I
you
like that.
all over town. Last night we were at a Leadership Burbank event.
Yeah.
2 days ago we were together. I think we see each other quite a bit.
And don't forget, I won the
You won, Don.
The-
Folks. This is a little secret.
watch.
If there is a raffle, Don buys 500 tickets usually.
I you know what? It's a good cause. You spend the money, and
Well,
An investment.
at Leadership Burbank or at most of the Chamber of Commerce events. Don buys, and he'll be looking through his tickets. And last night he walked away with a smartwatch.
smartwatch.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't,
I smartwatch. Yeah,
he probably might not know how to operate it.
no, definitely not.
But if it tells time, that's good enough.
That's okay.
Find a teenager nearby that'll.
Carey Briggs, he finally got a phone instead of using his shoe to talk into.
Shoe phone, yeah, the old Maxwell Smart.
the
thing,
Maxwell,
You
That's
have
right.
one of those in here?
No,
A shoe phone?
but I tell you what, go over to our phone collection over there.
Ah.
There's only a few things we're missing right now.
How do you like that, Greg? They got a phone collection.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
Well,
Okay.
Don,
Thank
again,
you, Don.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
We
you very
love
much,
you
Don.
guys.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ross. Well, we have another guest with us. Why don't you introduce him?
Well, we happen to have an old friend of mine. We go back many years, Gary Sutliff. If you've been around Burbank for a while, there. Look at that, the applause for Gary Sutliff. Gary retired from the Burbank Fire Department as a battalion chief. He built the new firehouse, or the big house they call it, at where the police and fire station are together. He built several, was on the committee and so forth to build quite a few of them. But Gary, you have been around Burbank for how long?
Well, I'll be 82 in September, and I was 2 years old when I moved here.
Well, I think the math is pretty easy then.
Almost 80 years.
People, if you come into this museum, you will see a ton of fire displays
Yes.
and memorabilia. But Gary is the guy from day one. I happen to know Gary, and he kind of, with the committee and people put this place together, he's one of the people that knows Burbank history because he lived it. And
You're part of it.
yeah, you're literally part of it, and you keep things running here. And I go out here and look at, I mean, the fire display you have, and you walk into the different rooms. We got to say thank you to people like yourself, that put this
My
together.
fingerprints are probably on everything in this museum.
Well, we were asking, what's your favorite display?
Well, if somebody you tell, why should I come here? What are you going to tell them?
I'm kind of partial to Lockheed because Lockheed was a big part of this community when I was growing up. I mean, the population of Burbank was tremendous during the day, and it shut down a little bit at night because they worked through the war. But my dad was a fireman at Edwards Air Force Base during the war. He was there for 32 years and worked on every top secret project the government had at the old Muroc. And so the history of aviation has always been something I enjoyed. I used to fly. My oldest son still flies. Aviation has always been kind of a big thing with me.
Well, like I said when we started, I know you for a lot of years. Give me that little history about the Bonneville Salt Flats, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
You broke some records out there.
I did. I didn't get started racing at Bonneville and El Mirage until I was probably 70 years old.
Wow.
In fact,
It's a late bloomer.
Your second
Yeah.
childhood.
in fact, my first rookie run at El Mirage before Bonneville, my wife wouldn't come and watch me race, but my daughter and her husband did. And they were buckling me down and suiting me up. And it ended up, I was at the starting line, and the announcer said, now we have I forget what he said, a 75-year-old rookie. And Marianne, or my daughter, Dee Dee, said, he's only 74 or only 72. And anyway, I proceeded to get a record at El Mirage, and I still have the record at El Mirage.
Which is
I drive a 50 Curtis Midget. That's got a Pete Ardema engine, an Ardema bronze engine in it. It's an overhead valve engine. I race in the antique class, the four-cylinder class, and my record right now is 138.8
holy cow.
miles an hour.
Well, when people talk about Forest Lawn Drive in Burbank,
Oh, jeez.
how many vehicles did you roll on Forest Lawn Drive?
I beat all those tickets. That's where we used to race as a kid. But my 138.8 mile an hour still holds at El Mirage.
That wasn't in a Seagrave?
No, it wasn't in the Seagrave. Although I did drive the Seagrave a lot.
You did mention Marianne, and a lot of people know San Fernando Road, the Golden Mall.
Yeah.
Marianne had a shop up there for many, many years.
Yep.
And talk about her hair shop that, everybody on San Fernando Road knows Marianne.
Well, she had a really nice shop, Hair Country, and she had a lot of girls. She had, I don't know, 6 or 8 girls working for her, and she was paying $600 a month towards the payments on the building because John Silvestro and I bought the building, and finally when after the Golden Mall fell on its face, it ended up the downtown took off, and rents went sky high. And so I told Marianne, I says, we can't afford you in this building. And so she tells everybody I evicted her. But she moved over to Claudine's, and then she moved from Claudine's closed a couple of years ago around the corner. And then she's still working.
Wow.
She just turned 79 last week, and 2 weeks ago.
And when did you retire? How many years now?
94.
94.
29 years ago.
Wow.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Having activities definitely is what keeps you going. I think that's important for people when they retire to have passions, have activities,
And the need
Really
for
is.
need for
and
speed.
the needs for speed.
I can tell you a quick story about the need for not speed, but being active. I just went through a year of chemo every 2 weeks. I had half my right lung removed, and I had melanoma cancer. It was a very deadly cancer. And Dr. Kilcarney at Kaiser in L.A. Told me that I think this new procedure, this new chemo, you're a candidate for it. I went through it for a year. I get a PET scan right now. In fact, I get one in 2 weeks, every 3 months, and I'm clean.
Fantastic.
And he asked my wife, he says, when we had a consultation with him here just recently, he said to my wife, he says, is Gary a very active guy? And she kind of laughed and said, oh, yeah. And he says, that's what pulled him. That's one of the things that pulled him through it.
Well, I know for years, I've been to your house. I've shot a couple of weddings in your yard.
Oh, yeah.
Your yard
Does Gary know that?
yeah, right.
Okay.
But his yard, most people don't realize, he has a great view up, looking over the city of Burbank. Got a nice gazebo up there, but his yard is immaculate. His house is immaculate, and it's just you could tell he
It's
loves.
like this place is immaculate.
It is. This is Burbank, definitely Burbank's best kept secret.
Yeah, we're trying to change that. We're trying to change that. Let me ask you: you've been in the city 80 years,
Yeah.
but we're here helping to celebrate the Historical Society's 50th year. How many of those years have you been involved here, and what got you started?
Well, Mary Jane drafted me or stole me.
Well, you know what? Let's back. You just said the name Mary Jane. We haven't talked about Mary Jane or Harry, but they were Mary Jane
They were the founders.
founders.
They're instrumental in making this happen.
Yeah.
If you look over by the entrance over there, we have a wall with Mary Jane and Harry's picture on it, and as the founders.
And if you're a longtime Burbank person, if you knew Mary Jane,
You knew Mary Jane.
she talked about this place. She promoted. She was a city PIO. She was the first PIO that I worked with.
Yes, she was.
And I'll tell you,
And she recruited you.
Yeah,
How many years ago now?
I really don't know. It's probably 30, 35.
and Harry was here.
Whatever.
You guys together. I mean, you were
Harry, I knew Harry when he was a policeman. And Mary Jane, she was, every time the city would throw something away, Mary Jane would bag it. And later on in years, when the redevelopment was going on in Burbank, I made a deal with the redevelopment agency to salvage all the buildings that the city was buying, and then and we sold everything, and usually before the demolition contractor got it, I had it for maybe 2 weeks, and I could salvage anything out of the building before the demolition contractor became
Well,
effective.
wonderful places like this wouldn't exist if people weren't out there saving
I'll tell you,
the history.
most every cabinet in this place was meant to be demolished, and it was, and over a period of 7 years, I mustered $70,000, our 50%, not for the museum, but to restore the 2 antique fire engines. And then we gave the city the other 70,000, the redevelopment agency.
Yeah, if you know, like I
Stuff
say,
came down here.
that's what you now. People that listen to our podcast, you know, some of them live in some homes here in Burbank that their parents worked at Lockheed, and the kids are now in the house. Is there anything that, you know, if they find something, or do they shoot a picture and send it to you guys and see if you want it? Are you still taking collections and so forth?
You know, we've run out of space.
Time for a new building, huh?
Somebody can donate a building.
If somebody would donate Olive Avenue, then we'd have a frontage and we would no longer be the best kept secret. However, just
well, let me ask you. They're going to do a whole redoing of the park here.
Yeah.
They're going to knock down the gym and everything else.
I've
Have they talked to you guys about maybe helping you with a little more visibility? Are you part of that new plan?
we're the kind of the bastard son of the family picnic.
Well, I think that should change. I think the
That
city
needs to
should
change.
look at you guys.
Well,
You are a city facility, basically,
I'll
and
tell you,
help you guys out.
this is the first budget the city council has passed where they've put money aside in a matching grant. If we provide funding, they'll match it up to $10,000. And I got to tell you, with this barbecue,
We'll hit that 10,000,
we're
huh?
going to hit that. We're going to go next week and ask for it.
I'd still like to see the city, put you as part of their plan for the entire new park thing that they're building right now.
Biggest problem I feel with the park, the way it is now, is the parking, and it's that way in the business district. It's that way everywhere in the residential district, which we don't have anymore. I just bought about 5 years ago the house I grew up in, right around the corner here in Virginia. My brothers and my sister and I inherited it, and I bought them out 5 years ago. But I still own that house.
So we can expand there,
Oh yeah.
right?
Well, I've got a tenant that's been there for 22 years.
Oh, you know, Gary, I'm looking out in where the displays are, of some of the vehicles, and so forth. And you know what? There are a ton of people that are walking up and paying some money at that table for lunch, and so forth. It's great to see.
Well, and you see people walking through the background and around the corner, people walking by the table. So there's
what?
people showing up.
What's amazing is that in order for us to give out free food, we can't sell food.
Right.
We have to give it free. So this is our membership appreciation barbecue. So in order to get the food, you can come in the museum anytime you want, but to get any food, you got to be a member. And the sign that I made out front there, it's a $20 annual membership, and you can get $50 worth of food.
In fact, when we started your interview, I didn't say this was your puppy, as they say. This was your event.
Yeah.
You were the chairman of this event,
Right.
and I think I didn't say that in the beginning. Which, you know, I have been at a million events in this city. Something like this takes a lot of logistics. And
It does, but when you have a feel for what you're doing, it's a labor of love. I mean, it's what we do. We have a good executive board here. We're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid a nickel. It costs me, God only knows how much in a given year. But everybody here is doesn't get paid for anything.
Let me ask you this, Gary. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No problem.
Now, aside from memberships and any donations people make while they're here, can they go to historyburbank.com and make donations online?
Absolutely. I got
Excellent.
a call. Sue got a call last week. Somebody that wanted to donate something, and it happened to be one of our volunteers. She died, and she had a couple of children's desks. Well, in order for us to take it to the museum, either Sue and I are in charge of taking whatever's given, and either
Physical
taking it or not taking it. And she wanted to get me 2 of these desks, and I said, I can probably find room for 1. And I put it upstairs this morning. But we had a sign from the Addison Hotel. It was right next to Burkall's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had it in the back room for over a year. And I just found a place to pick it,
Oh, cool.
mount it, because it's a narrow sign and sticks straight out, and it only sticks out about 3 feet. So I've got it in the other room there, and we've got it lit up now.
So hopefully, when people come by, they're not here today and stopping by, they can come in and look at that new
Oh yeah,
Burkall sign. And
not new. It's old.
right. Gary, thank you so much
Yes.
for
Absolutely.
stopping
Thank
by and
you.
sharing.
We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Okay.
all your efforts here.
Okay, thanks.
How would you like your business advertised in this very spot? My Burbank Talks is looking for businesses interested in a 30-second spot to appear in our podcasts. If you're interested, please email advertising@myburbank.com, and we'll be glad to discuss all of the exciting opportunities with you. Now, back to our podcast.
Okay, Ross. Well, once in, another guest. Why don't you introduce him?
Well, the Historical Society runs by a great, as they said, board of directors, and we have one of the directors, Carey Briggs. Carey and I go back. Oh, look at that.
Wish that that could follow you around everywhere.
That'd be nice.
Hi, Carey. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Ross. How are you?
Are you a little tired yet?
Oh no,
Okay.
this is a great event for us. So it's a lot of adrenaline going. We, everybody on the board is trying to get everybody, fed and entertained, and actually try to get some new membership out of this.
Well, that's the goal. You and your wife, Diana?
Huh?
I've been on this board you guys have been part of the Burbank Historical Society for a lot of years. Carey's a longtime Burbank kid.
Yeah. Born here, my my grandmother was actually graduated from Burbank High in 1928.
Wow.
Yeah. So my dad in 54, and then I graduated in 78 from Burbank High.
Burbank High. Well, Craig and I won't hold that against you.
See, we used to beat up on Craig all the time. Me and Jeff Stanley, we used to get him.
You hit him in the head
softball.
one too many times, I think.
Yeah, well, we got it all going on.
Well, Carey was, you look back at Burbank. He was a director and the chairman of Burbank on Parade one time. If you ever see the Moreland bus at an event, Carey Briggs has been there. We did what did we do? Oh, the car show.
Our show.
And you had the bus out there, and you are here all the time. Carey, today is just a great day.
It's a great day for us. I mean, for us to open for the rest of the community to come in, those that aren't members and have no knowledge, this is the best kept secret in Burbank, right?
That's what we keep
We're
saying.
trying to change that.
And
That's
we
it,
are trying to change that. We're trying to get, people to come down here, get some volunteers, get some new blood, and even the children. When the children come back, and they bring their parents after coming here on the field trips that they come here in 3rd grade.
And that's a new dynamic when the children bring the parents.
Yeah, it is, and it's they control it. They give the tour. The docents just step back and let the kids give the tour because they soak up like sponges, and there's so much to absorb in here.
Well, I know you're also part of Road Kings.
No,
No, you're not.
Not
Oh,
Road
okay. But I'm curious.
I'm like the step cousin of the Road Kings.
You're the road jester.
Yeah, that's it.
We've been asking some of the directors. There's 100 rooms here, maybe? Or
It seems like it. You can go in a lot of different places here.
Cavernous.
What's your favorite?
My favorite exhibit?
Yeah.
There's a little camera around the corner here that is my favorite, and it's an example of how after World War II stopped and the entertainment was big here in Burbank still, and things were thriving, how the people created things out of nothing. There's a little camera. It's a slide projector over there. It's built on a Singer sewing machine cabinet, so it had wheels. And then they put a little foot behind it to give it elevation. Put a Model T scissor jack underneath it so they could get height. And then they made all the wood entrapments to put the film in so they could make something that nobody else ever had.
And now Burbank is the capital of the world.
Exactly.
All
Right?
built on a sewing machine table.
A lot of it, I mean, when entertainment started here, there was nothing. Entertainment was very, very new. You know, if you go across the hill and you go to the Lasky Barn, across from the Hollywood Bowl, that's a good example of how Hollywood and you know, they went to film a movie in Arizona and it was snowing, and that didn't work, and they ended up here in Hollywood, right? And we're just over the top from there, you know, on all the different studios, and even the younger kids with Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and those guys. That's a huge play. My grandkids, oh, that's the tower, you know, do the Looney Tune kids live in the tower and all that stuff. So it hopefully the museum brings that all together so people can come and just look and share their stories with other people.
Maybe when they get that tower put in here.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Just think how much more you can fit inside the tower.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Put it on the top.
Yeah.
And
Well,
people will find this place then they see that tower.
Well, and that's why we hope that F-104 stays where it is. It's because it's a landmark here, and we've got the nomenclature and everything in the park and here, and we're hoping they don't move that airplane.
We want to help spread the word to let people know how much is behind the F-104.
Well, my deal is that Lockheed made great people. Lockheed made great planes, but great people made Lockheed, and that's how I explain it, because they, you know, Kelly Johnson and his group of engineers went way above and beyond all the time to make the constraints and everything, right? But it was the people that sacrificed and did what they needed to do, go home from work and still bring it with you, and still tinker in your garage and make hot rods and make model airplanes and manufacture. You know, when we went to school, when we all went to school, you know, they had shop classes and they had things, you know, where if you left and got your degree from one of the high schools here, you could walk into a manufacturing job and do something, you know.
You were prepared. You were prepared for that, you know, which we're not doing nowadays. You know,
Exactly.
We're not preparing car mechanics. We're not, you know, or
Airplane
that kind
mechanics,
of thing.
car mechanics.
Or construction workers even for the studios.
You can't do that from home.
No, you can't
You
do
that
that from home.
from your basement at home.
Yeah,
And hopefully that, you know, with that new thing that we signed with that CHIP Act, and we're bringing the manufacturing back to America, you know, hopefully we can instill that in the kids. There is a future for you. It's not just on your computer.
but we have to be able to teach that in our schools too, which
Yeah.
our shop classes are all gone now.
Exactly, and getting that back in is you know, paramount for some of us that had it and realized what the benefits were from it.
Well, you know, I happen to know, because you had me shoot a picture, Jim Jeffers' barn.
Yeah.
And you went and you did some research, and you brought back, was it one of his belts or?
I was actually very fortunate. I got to represent the Jeffries and the Burbank Historical Society when it was inducted into the National Boxing Hall of Fame. And me and Don Baldaseroni were there, and we got to hold the belts and everything. And that barn, it's so historic. It's actually at Knott's Berry Farm, and that's where it was kept. So on Thursdays, he would fight the gentlemen on Thursdays, and they would wrestle on Saturdays. And that's what the lure of the barn, because people would come in from the Coachella Valley, from Santa Barbara, from San Gabriel to you know, fight against the other opponents.
Well, you know, let's give our listeners a little look back, because they go through that intersection of Buena Vista and Victory now, and most of us, we remember the Machinist Hall there,
Oh yeah,
you know, which was a very big.
Great donut shop there.
Oh, Dad's Donuts,
Yep.
right?
or a spot for the coroner.
Yeah.
Well, that CVS, it was a Ralph's with a funny
Yep.
roof, and then they moved it.
Hmm.
They changed where Ralph's is and where CVS is now. But that was where the barn was.
Where the barn was.
We're going to look at a little history here. People don't realize right here in Burbank is where they did.
So Jeffrey Street, right? That's all where Jeffrey's property was. Jim Jeffries was the heavyweight champion of the world, 1899 to 1910. Then he retired, and 10 years later, Jack Johnson, they were going to have the fight, the Great White Hope. Jeffries was 10 years older. He was out of shape. He was 60 pounds overweight. And they got him to fight with enough money to get a guy to fight. He lost 45 pounds. It was the first time ever they had built a arena for a single sporting event. They built it in Reno, Nevada, and they had it out there. They got 20,000 people to come out in the middle of the desert and watch this fight. Jim Jeffries gave it a good go of it, but he ended up losing in the end. Everybody kind of knew that. Jack Johnson went on to get into some other things that he did. But what happened is Jim Jeffries reinvented himself the second time as being Burbank's international star. He was the first international star here because of boxing. But if you remember, well, you don't remember, but before this was here, this was all alfalfa. Before Mulholland brought water here, this was just grassland. He raised sheep, but they didn't have enough water to sustain the sheep. So he got into cattle, and he started raising cattle. And what happened, he became an international star because he started raising prize bulls. People from Portugal and Spain and Mexico and anywhere they would fight the bulls would come here because of Burbank's trade route, right? We could get it out to the port of Los Angeles quicker than anybody else. So they would come from all over the world to talk to Jim Jeffries and get these prize bulls and take them to fight them all over the world.
Well, the history that you know, and that's why if people stop by here, I know many times you're here on the weekend.
Yeah.
But I've also seen you go to a lot of city events, and you bring out a ton of memorabilia,
right,
and a lot of stuff from the museum. And I will say, like you're just sharing with us, the history of Burbank. Nowadays, people put into Google and find out about something, but the real history
it's here.
Of our community is somebody with your knowledge.
And we're also partnering ship with our big partners, our big business partners in the entertainment and the manufacturing. We're also starting a partnership with Woodbury to do what we were going to do in the beginning and identify the buildings, what they are and what they were, right? And you'll be able to do that. So that'll be a nice little addition that's going to happen.
It's just the museum is ongoing.
It's a place where people can come and share their stories and learn stories about the past.
And I think, we've shared Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4.
1 to 4, yeah.
But people also need to realize, if you want to do something with your company, a lot of these companies want to get their employees away from their desks. You guys can schedule a special event.
We have tours. We can schedule special events. We have the room upstairs, seats 300 people. It's all fully media cooperative. We're ready to go. So we're looking. We're going to have something to do with Burbank High's 115th anniversary, and we'll be doing something up here also.
So it's this museum. People don't, I think, realize there's so many, different things that can go on here, and we keep saying it's Burbank's best kept secret.
It is.
But folks, we're trying to share that with our podcast today. People, we've had Gary Sutliff, we've had Don Baldaseroni, some other people, that sharing on this building. With your help, thank you very, very much.
Oh,
thanks for your efforts.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's actually our pleasure because with you guys doing this and bringing the awareness to the people, that's what we're looking for. We want the traffic in here.
Well, we'll keep it between us and them.
Thanks. No, send it out loud, baby.
Well, thank you for stopping by.
All right.
Thanks.
We do have another guest, and we happen to have with us another friend of mine that we've known each other for a couple of years. One of Sue Baldaseroni. You heard us. We interviewed Don earlier. In fact, I think it was our first guest.
First one.
How you doing, Sue?
Doing great.
Wow, look at that.
Thank you.
You come with your own whole crowd. Sue, you have been with the Historical Society for years. I've gotten mail from you. You were their corresponding secretary. You do acquisitions. But, you're the first lady that we've had over, and I know there are quite a few ladies.
Yes, there
make
are.
This place run.
Exactly.
And tell us, just give us a little what you do. And you know what? We've asked almost everybody, what's your favorite display in the whole museum? You have one?
It's really hard to say. I love all the vehicles. That's my favorite floor. And I would probably say the Road King display is one of my favorites. Might be prejudice, but.
Well, you have been, I know you and I have been on committees, on quite a few committees, and Road Kings, you guys are quite involved in Road Kings. But here in town, you've been a long-time Burbank resident.
Yeah, born and raised.
There you go, see? And we've talked to a lot of people today that have some history and roots
Mm-hmm.
here in Burbank. You remember before there
Oh,
was a
yeah.
Golden Mall, or
Yeah.
before we even had high rises.
Who knew at 30 years I'd be the newbie at the table?
Yeah, exactly. And we're just, this is going to air this week. Our goal is to get more people to join
Right.
and come see.
And just be aware of the place.
We don't want it to be
Burbank's-
Burbank's best kept secret anymore.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Because,
After today, I'm hoping, because, oh man, I think we got 50 or 60 new members sign up.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
well,
So,
any way that we can help. And that's why we wanted to do the podcast today, because, we've talked to some people. People drive by and see the
Sure.
Mentzer House,
they see the little blue house.
And the jet?
I know.
and they think, oh, isn't that nice? But they don't realize, wow, what is behind
Yeah.
it. And you guys, you are part of the acquisition team. We had Gary on here.
Hmm. Yeah,
And-
Gary and I both do.
And people, once you are here and look around, you realize the treasures
Yeah.
that you have found here in Burbank. People don't realize there's a chair from the Johnny Carson show,
Oh, I know.
and so many different things that you and Gary have an eye for, and they're not paddly, little things. They're gorgeous displays that you
Yeah,
guys have put
yeah.
together.
We want you to come in and see maybe how a family used to live. Just the things that people used back in the day, and it's amazing to me every time I walk in here. I feel like I've walked back in time, and I love this place.
Well, we know it's a love for both you and Don.
Hmm.
And I know if you guys aren't out doing a Road Kings thing, many
We're here.
times you're here.
Yeah.
You guys used to make pins, and I think you
Still
still
do.
do. People don't realize these little pins, the buttons that people are wearing today. Craig has his on, is from,
There.
I did that.
Right there. You did that?
I did that.
and people don't realize,
Excellent.
enameled pins. I mean,
Yeah.
if you need collar pins, that's the business
All
that you're
all
in.
the pins that are in the display cases there for sale. I did all those.
Yeah,
So we still do that.
and it's like we say, this is Burbank's. It's a secret here.
Yep.
We don't want it to be. Come in. The visitors can come Saturdays and Sundays. Come see what Burbank's
That's
best kept
right.
secret, and help us make it not a secret.
Exactly.
Well, and I did it when I walked in, and I've been here before, but I
Yeah.
see a lot of people walking around who may be here for the first time, and we all did the same thing.
Their
wow.
eyes get like this.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, you have no idea that all this is back.
And not in the
Yeah.
first time, but if they haven't been here in 4, 5, 6 years, there's things always being added
Exactly.
and changed and
Yeah.
everything else. So there's reasons to keep coming back if you've already been here
Yeah.
before.
Well, that's like the Magnolia ticket booth. It may be a small thing, but a gentleman donated the windows from the ticket booth from the old Magnolia Theater, the sconces and a mirror. And so Gary built that to put everything into it.
Well, those are
And-
the things I think people. If you live in an apartment here in town, you want to know a little history. If you're going to live here for a while,
Sure.
stop in here, talk to Sue.
Yeah.
Because you remember when we had 5 theaters. People
Oh,
used to
yes.
say that.
Yeah.
People don't remember the pitch and putt at Magnolia and
Yes.
Florence,
Yes.
or the big slide across from the
Yep.
Cornell Theater. Am I dating myself?
Yes,
folks?
you are.
But it's. I can say I'm a 67-year resident of this fine city, and mighty proud of it. And I've seen it change. I remember when they did put in the 134 and
Yes.
bonds and
Yeah.
that. There was a food giant on the corner of Pass and Alameda.
Remember the
Well,
days
Yeah.
your mom used to tell you to go play on the freeway
That's a true story.
when it was dirt, when it was
know.
being built.
Yep, when
Not
it was
now.
being built, 5 o'clock, my mom would say, "Go play on the freeway," and I did.
Yeah.
I got on those big tractors, but we remember Sorrentino's in its
Oh,
original
yes.
place.
Yeah.
King's Arm, the
Kind of trader.
China Trader.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm saying names to some of us that.
This is your life.
Well, it's funny because we're going to do a podcast on all the restaurants that have come
Wow.
and gone.
Sure.
I have a list of probably over 100 now.
And if you need information, we have it.
I bet you. Yeah,
Yeah, this is the
absolutely.
place to come,
Yeah.
right? This is the place to come.
Well, again, thank you for opening the doors here today.
Yes.
Thank you for what you do for the Burbank Historical Society. And most of all, Thanks for keeping Dawn moving every day.
Oh, that's a chore.
Let's give her another round of
Oh,
applause. huh?
absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, well, we have another guest with us. In fact, somebody who wears many, many hats in the city. Ross, why don't you introduce him?
Well, you know, you were at Carewalk. You're at almost all the events in this town. I'd like to introduce Mickey DePalo. Mickey,
Oh, I love that organization.
boy, you bring your own.
I know, really,
audience.
really. I told him to clap louder than that, though. But
Well, Mickey, the history news. Wow, I just had beef ribs and everything,
there
and
you go, man.
my tongue is all wiped out here. Great day today.
Beautiful day.
You're on the board here. You're on.
Yes.
You've been. I think you. No offense. You have been in Burbank probably 2 weeks longer than everybody else.
Probably.
You've been.
I was here before the dirt was on the infield at McCambridge, so that's how long ago that.
There you go. Mickey has been on previous podcasts. If you don't know, Mickey served about 40 years for the Parks and Rec.
41 and a half to be
Look
exact.
at that, 41 and a half years with the Burbank Park.
Last job running Verdugo Park, the Recreation Center, which you did a great job at.
Thank you. And McCambridge, and then one of the, it was a great career. I mean, I loved it. But working in the boys' sports program really kind of made me a better leader, and I got to contribute a little bit more to the department, and I got a lot of support, and I work with a lot of great volunteer coaches like Craig and Mike Graceffo, who is also my coworker, but work with a lot of good people. Saw one guy here today, that longtime coach, Bernie Durasbor. So that's what Burbank's all about, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
That's the thing. Today is I'm looking out here, and this is what I call community. This is our community.
Sure is.
And this Burbank Historical Society, it's the best hidden secret this city has. We've said it with everybody, that we've had on. It's just amazing, like you say yourself, you've been through the Parks Department, you worked all that. You also take care of our vets. You are a honorable, Army?
Vietnam, Army.
Vietnam vet. And our VFW,
Yep.
Located on Magnolia. If you ever want to rent a building or they put on pancake breakfast for like $5. You get a slew of pancakes, real bacon, sausage, orange juice, the works, and the different organizations use that facility. But you've seen the city change quite a bit.
Oh, a lot. We moved here. My dad worked he was a postal service, and we moved here in 1956 from Kentucky, a little small coal mining town in Kentucky called Middlesboro. And my dad worked at the post office there, and my mom was from that little town, and my dad was from Kent, Ohio, born and raised in Kent. And we moved out here in 1956 after my dad and mom and my sister and myself. We drove out here in 1951 and in 1954, back and forth to Kentucky. My dad drove the whole way, loved to drive. And then finally in like late 1955, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was about maybe third grade, and he says, "We're moving to California," and that was pretty much it. Back in those days, whatever the dad or the father said, that's
how it
husband
went.
said that's how it went. So we packed up and moved to California, and Burbank. I lived in Burbank from went to Jefferson, Muir, Burbank High, Glendale College, Cal State Northridge, which was Sanford Valley State, and then worked for the Park and Recreation Department starting in 1967. Took a leave of absence when I got drafted in 1969 and had my job when I came home.
Well, a lot of people, there was a little secret that Mickey decided to move to Chicago. He has his son that was raising his grandson.
Yeah, my son and daughter-in-law, we had our first grandchild. And so my wife and I had said, well, you know what? If you do have a baby, we'll move back there and help you out with daycare and everything, So we went back there. My son bought a house there. He got us an apartment to live in, real nice, almost like a senior community. Had a place called Crystal Lake, Illinois, just beautiful. But we lasted 11 months. It was not Burbank. And my wife never complains. I walked in one day and it was about 8 below zero. I went to the gym because it's the only place you can't go outside. when I came home, she was sitting there, and I said, "What's the matter?" She goes, I don't like it here. I want to move." I said, "Okay." And
We're coming home.
we're going home.
You can only have so much Chicago pizza.
Chicago pizza's good.
Oh yeah, but only so much you can have.
And Wrigley Field, I mean, Chicago's a great
yeah.
town. I was about 53 miles northwest of it, but wonderful people. Met a lot of great veterans. I was in a veterans group back there, and just really good people, but a kind of a different culture. The weather contributes
Everything the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just totally.
I always wanted to go for coffee, and these guys, we're going home, so. But,
Well, how long did that last? What, 11?
I would say about 11 months, not quite. I always say I was in Vietnam longer than I was in Illinois.
And you came back to your favorite town.
Yes, for sure. Right back to Burbank, right in the same apartment building.
You fell right back into doing
Yep.
a lot of the things you were doing. You're doing Memorial Day, Veterans Day. You're on the Veterans Committee. You guys polish those stones up
Yep.
at the War Memorial. You take care of our vets. Here at the Historical Society, again, probably one of your favorite passions.
Oh yeah, well, I was flattered to be asked to be on the board, and I jumped at the chance because this is really the best kept secret in Burbank. People need to come here and realize.
Well, first time we've heard that today, huh?
Yeah, really, and realize what a wonderful history this town has. I mean, from like the syndicate in the bad way,
Yeah.
and then all the way to
Aerospace.
aerospace.
Now media.
What media is unbelievable. And
So we've asked almost all of our guests today. There's a lot of displays. There is so much in here. You got one that's your favorite?
well, I like the military display. My fellow vets and myself have contributed a few things here as far as, but I think I love the movie part. I just see the Magnolia Theater ticket stand back
Yeah,
here.
everybody's talking about that.
And I remember
Absolutely.
all that. I
Yes.
grew up around that.
And you look back at Burbank. I'm a long time, I can say, 67-year resident of this town. We remember when we had a pitch and putt on Magnolia and
Yes, we
Florence,
did.
and an A&W right across the, or not an A&W, Foster Free.
That's
Oh,
the
they-
A&W down on Magnolia around Rose.
Well, they also are the A&W over where the Eaton Park
In your
is.
backyard.
Right,
And by the way,
right
that's
next to
not a park on Eden Street. It's called Eden Park.
it. Yeah, Eaton Park.
Because where's Eden Park? You're driving up and down Eden
Yeah.
Street. We shouldn't find
Well,
a park anywhere.
There's an old joke to that. Burbank police officer Frank Roth used to check off at Eaton Park every day. And I went up to Eaton Drive and I drove up that to one end. It's only 6 blocks. And I looked for a park and
Where's that park at?
one day I ran into Frank. I said, every day you check off at Eaton Park. You tell me where there's a park on Eaton Drive.
Right.
He says, there isn't. I go to Eaton Park at Buena Vista and Victory. And that's your backyard.
Yes,
You
it's right
go-
next door. We go there a lot. They're wonderful people that run the place.
I want to know the truth. How many times do you go next door to Dad's Donuts?
Oh, I go to Dad's Donuts quite often. Bruce and Ginny are great people, and they treat all their customers wonderfully. That's why when Krispy Kreme moved into Burbank, didn't even put a dent in Dad's Donuts. So
You can't beat Dad's Donuts.
nope, they're the best.
No.
And people here are loyal to local businesses
Yes,
too,
and I think
they're
that's
loyal to things like that. So I think that's
Oh.
that's a tribute to our city.
It is, and all my old buddies, we go for coffee in the mornings, and we talk about, hey, do you remember Nahas? Do you remember A&W? Do you remember when Bob was on San Fernando?
Oh
Do you
yeah,
remember the Cornell?
How about the one on
Glen
Oaks?
Oaks.
Glen Oaks, yep.
It's now Hill Street
Hill
Cafe.
Cafe.
Yep, right. So
You know, and that's the thing about Burbank. People move here. People come here, travel through town, and I hear so many times people say, there's something different about Burbank.
it is different.
I don't know if it's our water, but our streets are paved.
I think it's the people in town that I've met a lot of wonderful people here, and I think it's the welcoming aspect of our town, and I think due to the fact we have our own police, our own fire, our own park and rec, our own public service, that has a lot to do with
A
the
self-contained
attraction.
city. Look, we got our own airport.
And we have a good school system, so
And with all that, how important it is to have a place like this.
Yeah.
You know,
this is
talk about the importance of
Sure.
what we have here, what we have stored here, and it's full as can be, and you need to expand.
Yeah, no, they could use.
But it's how important it is to have all that history here.
It is,
people
and that's
come with
why, and this place is ran strictly by volunteers. There's not a salaried person working here.
And you come in here and look, the displays are elegant. There's nothing. I mean, I've walked through tons of rooms today. There's cabinets that are in prime condition. It doesn't look like, oh, we got it. Somebody put it out for their trash, and you guys got it. You guys have display cases. You have stuff on display that.
Yeah, and being at my age, as old as I am, I know the history of this town pretty well, and I love and respect it. And when I think of the Burbank Historical Society, I think of Mary Jane Strickland and Bud Strickland. They're the ones that got this place off, And then
you remember when Mary Jane was the PIO for the city?
Yes.
And she really, she loved this place.
She did.
Her and Harry, that are one of our police officers who retired. In fact, we're going to, in this segment, put a picture of Mary Jane and Harry, because if it wasn't for them,
this building wouldn't be here.
Yep. So I know things are wrapping up. I know you're not riding your bike, are you?
No, I cracked it up.
I know you did. We and your wrists and hands are all working.
Everything's good. Everything's good. I'm back up. I'm walking a fast hour a day now. I think my running days are over because my knees are whacked out. But God has been good to me and my family. So far, everything's going great.
I always say my son just the other day was on Chandler Boulevard, the bike path at 10:30. There were 4 ladies walking, and what other city can you feel safe? There were 4 together.
That's right.
They had a cell phone, but at 10:30 at night, out doing their exercise.
Yeah, no, Burbank is still a little island off of everything. Hi, Marcia. Burbank is still an island off all the crap, so to speak.
There you go.
And that's another thing. We have a great police department here, and every time I see them, they're always out there. They're in the community. They do community policing, which I think is very important. Get out of your car and engage the citizens. And this is a great town, and I think we should always strive to get better, never settle for anything, and so.
Well, we're gonna have a redone airport. We don't say new.
Replacement terminal.
Replacement terminal.
But the other things that our train people don't realize, we got an interstate going 2 ways in the city. We have a great airport. We have trains. We have planes. We have automobiles. We got it all.
We do, and we've had a lot of great people that were born and raised here, have gone out to do great things, and in the aeronautics, in the movies, sports, and
you've got to witness.
Yeah,
a heck of a lot, half a century of it.
Yes. Just off the top of my head, I coached Clint Howard, and I've known Ronnie and Clint for years, and I knew their dad Rance real well. And Freddie Sanchez, who played with the Pirates, won a batting title.
Yes, he did.
I used to have to yell at him at the park because he didn't like to lose. So, but Freddie still remembers me because I almost threw him out of the park a few times, which would happen to me also when I was growing up. I wasn't a very good sport myself.
Well, you know what? Winning is always
right. Nothing like winning.
Yeah, I mean,
no matter what it is.
If you're not playing to win, then don't play.
That's right.
Well, we're going to let you go and get home. And you've been here. When we got here,
yeah. Well, it's I love to volunteer. I like to be boots on the ground. I'm not one to sit on the board and give me a financial spreadsheet. Let somebody else handle that.
Well, I do want to say if you're listening to this podcast, you come across it and you're a vet or any of our military services, and you need anybody to talk to, if you want support, you want direction in the city of Burbank, Mickey DePalo is the one to give a call.
Right.
And there's many ways. BFW can get a hold of you. You can call Family Service Agency.
Yes.
They know how to get it.
Yep.
You can call me.
Yep.
And I'll give you Mickey's
and
phone number.
and let me give you real quick the BFW phone number.
We'll take it.
They'll give me the message. It's 818-842-1739. You call there and say, I'd like to leave a message for Mickey, and I get back to them the same day if it's all possible. So.
Well, I know one of the next events that we're going to be doing, I've been contacted, was the gift box.
Yes.
That they're doing. I have
Yeah.
a date we're going to probably put on our calendar. That's coming up
October 7th, I believe, and with Keller Williams.
at the UME.
Right, at the UME Credit Union. And years ago, a highly decorated Vietnam vet, Mark Cutter, who was 2 Soldiers Medals, a Silver Star, 2 Purple Hearts, wonderful friend of mine. I knew him since the 6th grade, and he passed away several years ago. But he came up with the idea of, and we named it Hands Across the Battlefield, back shortly after 9/11. And we thought, well, we'll send 1 package a month. And the city said they would pay the postage. So we got to where the first month we sent maybe 300 packages. Next month it went up to 600. Before we knew it, we were seeing over a ton of stuff every year,
Well,
all
last
over,
year,
all over the Middle East. Yeah,
you guys filled a truck.
Yeah.
Full.
we have made a lot of, and when I can say from personal experience, when you get a letter or a package from home, that makes your whole day, because you know that, well, somebody, and I know my family, they never forgot me, and so I was lucky. My dad was a World War II vet, so he knew what I was going through. My mom's father and her two brothers served. One was combat wounded in Korea, so I'm proud of my family's military heritage. But mail from home, like I said, and especially from people you don't even know.
It's a piece of home too. It's
It is.
a familiar thing which you need to have. But I've got one question for you. The VFW stands for Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Yes.
Well, aren't all wars been foreign? We haven't any. Thank goodness we have not had any wars here in.
Well, the Veterans of Foreign Wars is a little different from the Legion, American Legion. In order to belong to the Veterans of Foreign Wars, you as like myself, I served in a combat zone, so you can belong to the VFW. Now, let's say I never served, but my father served in World War II, so I could be a member of the VFW Auxiliary, which is an advisory board for the VFW itself. And the American Legion welcomes all veterans.
Right, but like I say, have been no foreign wars, so I mean,
Well,
basically all veterans are welcome. You know,
yeah, all veterans are welcome. Sure, of course.
Right. Doesn't matter what war
Veterans,
or what
veterans and their families. We that's our whole mission, is to take care of veterans and their families.
Well, I know that's the pack the boxes, is coming up, and I know we're going to promote that because you can't get enough boxes going over to our troops are all over this country, and when you get something from Burbank, and it's from Burbank, you get that feeling. So I appreciate you helping today.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Glad
Ross.
you stopped by and talked to us. We always love having you.
Yeah, and I like being here. You guys do a wonderful thing, and thanks for I get your emails, and I love reading the columns, and you're the best.
We work on it. Thank you very much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Ross, one more guest to stop by. Why don't you give us an introduction?
I got 6 more listed on my sheet here. I must have
Part 2.
I must have fallen asleep after the ribs, the tri-tip, the beans, the coleslaw, the popsicle, the cotton candy, the popcorn.
Well, we needed a rally for this big interview.
Wow.
Bring us home.
Well, I will bring you home. We have Sheila Berger with us, who grew up, literally. Oh. Look at that. Brings her own audience. We had Gary on here, Gary Sutliff, and Sheila is the granddaughter of Gary, and she grew up literally with Grandpa pulling her to the Historical Museum, probably on a daily or weekly basis. What do you think today?
Oh, I did. Like you said, I grew up coming here throughout the years. I watched this museum grow from small displays, big displays, went back to small. It's changed quite a bit. It's grown definitely quite a bit, and they take things in and bring them out, change it up, and add rooms and just keep going. The last interview, they build their own shelves. They bring in their own displays. When something's broken, the members of the board fix their own things, and it's nobody gets paid a salary. Everything is voluntary, and
it's a labor of love.
It most definitely is. My parents grew up here. My mom was born and raised here, and my dad grew up here, and they met here in Burbank. And I wasn't raised here, but come out here, and Grandpa has been bringing me here. We've had family events here, and I've been here. And there's the firefighter display right next door, and the racing and the old cars. Those are, my grandpa does racing, and he builds old cars, and he was a firefighter, retired battalion chief. So those hit close to home, and those are really cool to see. And he walks around, and not only does he volunteer here, he knows everything. So when all the 5 grandchildren come in, he wants to take you around, and he gives you his experience behind everything. So
So
it's
we've asked almost everybody that has stopped by, what's your favorite display?
so I guess I jumped the gun on that one. That's it. The firefighter and the room next door. It's with the old cars and the firefighters and
Yeah, people don't understand. There's a fire engine
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
There's a life net. Now, nowadays technology has changed, but they have a real life net.
We're going to try it out later. We're going to get Ross up on the roof.
Grandpa will show you
1,
how
2,
to use
3.
it. I'm telling you.
And at the last second, just like the
Do
cartoons,
a
we'll
Charlie
pull it-
Brown
we'll
thing and
pull it
pull it
away.
out.
He's got stories, and that's the cool thing because he'll have a story for everything that's in this museum. One way or another, he'll be like, well, back in the day, this is how this was used. And, you go to each display and you pick up the little headphone things and you push the button and it starts telling you the history behind things. And I grew up from a little kid just walking around doing that. So this museum, it's not only, it's Grandpa's museum that he volunteers at. It's something I grew up with. And, so when we had this event today, he's like, hey, I need a volunteer to come scoop popcorn. I'm here. So scooped popcorn and made cotton candy, some nachos, and it was a great
Fun.
time. Yeah.
Fun day.
It was a great time, a great turnout, and appreciated everybody coming out and appreciated you guys coming out. And I know the board had a great time with you guys. So
Yeah, today was a great day. It was great seeing the room filled. I know the big thing, people joined today. Sue said she had quite a few people sign up to join, and we're trying to get the word out.
Yeah.
This is Burbank's best kept secret. You know what? We want to get that word out there.
that's true.
Everybody to spread the word. And again, Sheila, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, not a problem.
Time to wrap it up.
Absolutely.
home.
Thank you very much.
All
Got
right.
it, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Well, that's it for another edition of My Burbank Talks on the road. And we really appreciate the Burbank Historical Society for inviting us in. We had some great guests. Ross, any final impressions?
Well, today was a great day. I keep referring to, this is what I call community. And I saw tons of people that not only know each other, but this building, this whole day is community. I want to thank Austin. So when he wasn't here, he was doing a ton.
Yeah, let me ask, Austin, so you went for your first time here, correct?
Yeah, it was my first time.
Okay, and so you went around and you did a lot of shooting for us. A lot of the video footage you've been watching on this, Austin shot. What were your impressions? What impressed you about this place? What was the
What's your favorite
what
exhibit?
was your favorite exhibit? Yeah.
I enjoyed the whole thing in overall. It was definitely a hidden gem lost in Burbank that people need to really find out and come visit. Yeah, it was a great place. I'm definitely going to be back to visit more.
Exactly. You can come back 10 times and go see something that
Exactly.
you didn't know about. Greg.
What about you, Craig? What did you see today?
I am always wowed. I love the broadcasting and the film history and all that, but there's a place in my heart. I've always been an old soul, but walking around the corner and seeing Johnny Carson standing there, not the actual Johnny Carson, a replica,
for what we know,
and just a chair from his studio and all that. I mean, those were some great memories, and I've always enjoyed the fact that I keep coming back to Burbank when I move. If I move elsewhere, I always find my way back to Burbank. But every time I drive by the now Burbank studios, I look at those two studios in the front, right on Alameda, The Tonight Show.
Yep.
Growing up watching that, all the things I watched, all the movies I watched growing up were made here, and so much of that memorabilia and the equipment used to record them is housed in this museum. And I'll say it again, I'm wowed when I come through the door of this place. There's always something I missed.
and you're seeing a lot of things here on this. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, but there was a lot of things we actually could not shoot because they have been asked not to, show them in a public manner. But you'd have to come and see it.
We left something for people to come.
Yes,
see,
and
right?
I believe there's a Disney collection here. Is that what?
Disney, Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And you won't have seen the Tonight Show stuff from NBC.
Right, and so it's here, and we can't show it to you. You need to come, and once again, that's how we make this Burbank's not a big secret place anymore.
Give you a reason to come.
Yes.
Well, the other thing, they need donations. You heard nobody gets paid here. They would like to do more, bring in more displays. The backdrop for our podcast today is this living monument that if you make a donation to the Burbank Historical Society, your name could appear.
You get a leaf on the tree.
Leaf on the tree.
Yeah, and for $20 a year membership, come on, that's a meal.
And
You
to
know,
join,
that's a meal. You can afford $20 to join. Even if you want to come by here, at least support the heritage. Support what they're trying to do.
it's
here.
a venti latte at Starbucks. Venti. But if you do want to check out more about the association, the Historical Society here, or make an online donation, the website is historyofburbank.com. Historyofburbank.com, or you can email them for information at info@historyofburbank.com.
And I know I walked around the Marionettes. They had a great crowd. I love listening to that.
It was a packed house in there for
It
the
was.
Marionette show.
And the food, Handy Mart, Barragan's. I mean, they got a band going outside.
Popcorn, popsicles,
Cotton
cotton candy.
And
a great
the
day.
lunch was good. Like I said, they're wrapping up. I know they said it goes till 4 or a little after 4. Again, My Burbank Talks on the road again.
Right.
Can we borrow that, or do we have to get
Don't
Willie's
have to
approval?
go home, but you can't stay here.
If Willie Nelson does not get royalties from us.
So until our next on the road again, Monday and so forth, we'll do another. You can follow our podcast on myburbank.com or any of the platforms you get your normal podcast from. You could put in My Burbank Talks, and they should show up. And we now have a slew of interviews.
Slew.
A slew.
Oh,
I mean,
Plethora.
a plethora. Exactly. We got
Utopia.
Ashley Erickson. We got Devin Herenda. We got Craig and I doing the week that was and the week that will be, and we have a couple others that I can't even think about.
We do our issue show, and there's other things, but more coming up.
myburbank.com, and you can listen to all the
Absolutely.
podcasts or
I'll have
find
to
us
put
on
my
YouTube.
my sweat band back on, and so I could think of our other shows. Again, from all of us,
Thank you very much.
Craig, Austin.
Burbank Historical Society. Until next time.
We'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot for watching or listening.
My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Burbank Chamber of Commerce, UME Credit Union, Tequila's Cantina and Grill, UCLA Health, Gain Credit Union, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, Eric Garcia of Farmers Insurance, Providence High School, UPS Store on 3rd Street, and Hill Street Cafe.